Okay, good afternoon. My name is Jee-In Kim from Korea. This is another sleepy guy because I'm living in very close to Japan. Okay, the topic of my talk is user experience. I'm going to give you a very introductory talk about user experience. People say this concept, user experience, started 19th century and early 20th century. At that time, workers built machines or assembled cars in a factory, and then some workers preferred to use specific tools like screwdrivers or hammers. The other workers prefers another type of tools. Of course, there are some technical issues, but there are some other things we should think about. So they started think about the other thing that is called user experiences. And then in 1990s, when there are many websites available and also many computers, many softwares available, we found that some people like website A, the other guys like website B, even though they provide similar functions and performance. Why is that? Okay, so people started using these user experience terms once again, try to find the reason and why that happens and how we can build a better or more, what should I say, depend on people based on their preference or things like that, try to make more likable or more usable website and applications. Okay. Is it working now? Okay. If we follow the Wikipedia, they define UX as a person's emotions and attitude about using particular product or system or service. So they thought emotions and attitude plays very important role. Okay, of course, if you are building or developing a product or service, their functionality and performance, the optimization kind of things are very important. But also there's another issue we have to think about. That's user experience. Okay? And the other researchers, especially this guy Donald Norman is a very big figure in this area of user experience. He emphasized not only the emotions and attitude about the service and product, he also said we should think about the image of company or brand images kind of things. Okay? So let me give you the definitions, a standard definition of ISO. They define user experience as person's perception and responses that result from a use or anticipated use of product, system, or service. Okay? According to their definition, user experience include emotion, beliefs, preferences, perceptions, physical and psychological responses, and many, many things. Okay? So, as you can imagine, this is a very difficult term and when we think about these issues. So, as you can see here in this diagram, user experience covers many terms. Not only the user interface, it covers platform, functionality, information architecture, content strategy, usability and accessibility, etc. Okay? So it seems like user interface is only part of it. So when we think about a user experience, I think we should, we should think about functionality, performance, and also user experience. So let me give you one of the messages. If you want to give a good or better user experience, first thing we have to know is we should know about your users, okay? As you can see, this is a thing you can find in a public toilet for men, okay? This is very unusable water. Please change this, okay? Like I said, you should know more about your users when you build some product or service, okay? When you do this, I would like to quote my mother saying that boys never grow up and they never listen, okay? My wife also agreed her statement. As you can see here, you can also find this kind of messages, okay? Boys never grow up, they never listen, okay? So even though you put this kind of messages in front of this device, they never listen, okay? If you go to China, you can find these messages. It says, small step forward, one step civilization. It should be, this is a big, you should say big step civilization, okay? Whatever civilization you are, boys don't listen. So look at this. This is the just ordinary device. But if you look at this, you can find the fly here. Okay? The designer of this device understands the boy's behavior. Okay? Boys like shooting games. Okay? So once you put this thing, you don't have to mention civilization anymore. Okay, and the other message I like to give you is when you, even though you understand your user's characteristic, behavior, etc., okay, when you develop a product or service, there are many things you have to consider, okay? Business issues and companies and developers, etc. Second message I like to give you is consider the user first. It's not easy, but that's the message we want to give you when we talk about user experience. This is the parking lot. You can find many places. Okay. This is the just garden in front of our building in our university. The problem is here, when you park your car, you have to go around to get into your office. Okay? In this garden, there is a student restaurant. You have to go this way to get to a student restaurant. So, you see, this part, there's no grasses anymore. So we can have two solutions. The first one, you change the design and make a new path for your customer or user. Or you can block it. Okay? I would say this is South Koreans thinking, this is North Koreans thinking. Thank you. So when we talk about user experience, there are good examples. We always talk about Apple, okay? This is quite old picture, but this thing happens in many companies, like Samsung or Apple, many companies. They use faster CPU, okay? But difference here is that they choose faster CPU not because the semiconductor technology expand or they can have a faster technology, but their motivation is their user use multimedia content, service, and applications a lot. The traditional device getting slower and slower. In order to satisfy their customers' requirement, they use a faster CPU. Okay, that's very different approach. So let me give you an example of good user experience by telling stories about Steve Jobs. I think all of you understand or heard about stories behind Apple and Steve Jobs. Okay, as you know, he founded Apple company and successful, even though he put a new graphical user interface almost for the first time in personal computers. He failed many products. He expelled from his own company in 1985. And then after 12 years, he returned. As you can see, within a year, he developed a new computer, okay? Without having a new design team or new development team, he had the old team and developed a new computer. It was called iMac, which was sensational. I think some of you may recall old days. You can remember what a computer looked like at that time. It's an IBM computer. Actually, it is built using steel, very heavy, and it needs extra monitor to use, okay? At that time, Steve Jobs' iMac looks like this, quite different, okay? What are the main difference between this one and this one? What? Screen, yes, yes. One thing is they put all in the one body. Second one is color. At that time, they also use mouse, but difference is color and this put so-called all-in-one thing. So people say, why this was so sensational? The two things. Before, at that time, computer was mainly used in office. They used for working, okay, editing documents and compute some numbers for your company, your organization. But time changes. Steve Jobs noticed that it's time for personal computing. It means you put your computer at home. What would you do with your computers at home? Playing games, okay? Listen to music, okay? Watch movies. So, as you can see here, Steve Jobs was put on a Time magazine. The statement here is, iMac is an all-in-one hub for music, pictures, and movies, okay? So this is the one thing, one of the first product Steve Jobs made after returning to his own company. At that time, he understood that there's a new trend for new generation users, okay? They want to put their computer in their desk at home, and watch TV or I'm sorry, playing games, listen to music, etc., etc. This is not for your work. This is for your fun. Okay, that's the one design innovation he got at that time. And second successful item is iPod. iPod is MP3 player. Okay, I remember because a friend of mine worked for a Samsung company. He developed MP3 players before iPod. Okay, but his product failed because of this sensational iPod. Okay, the thing he noticed was at that time everybody download MP3 music from the dark side of the industry. Okay, they copied it for free. That makes customer happy in the beginning, but content providers was not happy. So there was conflict between content providers and consumers. So if you remember, Steve Jobs persuaded content providers and build this sort of iTunes music store, and he provide consumers with music at a reasonable price. Okay, so we called he create ecosystem of multimedia content industry. So this product is possible because Steve Jobs understand people's need and also content provide needs, what they need and what are necessary. Okay. So here's another picture. He put in worldwide magazine Newsweek. Okay. Third product is iPhone. I guess everybody understand how successful it was. One data shows that all other products sales cannot exceed iPhone sales. It was really sensational. Then what is the reason of its success? iPhone was not the first smartphone. And at that time, its function and performance is far below than existing smartphones. At that time, BlackBerry is #1 in the market. Okay, but the first one is very unsuccessful. But in third one and fourth one, iPhone becomes sensational. What's the difference? People say before, this is the phone, which is smart. It means telephone, you can use email, and you can check a stock price, you can send some sort of document editing kind of things, okay? However, iPhone is totally changed the concept of smartphone. This is the computer. iPhone is the first handheld computers, okay? So computer needs new software, okay? So App Store was created, it was introduced, and it opens a new market, a new field, a new industry, okay? So as you can see and know, Steve Jobs and Apple understand users very well, and they provide solutions for new generations, new requirements, okay? This is a design for satisfying new requirement of new generation users, is iMac computer, I would say. And then he created a new ecosystem for multimedia content industry and introduced first handheld computers, okay? This is what we call a user-centered design and development. So when we talk about a UX, the first message is we should understand users and design and develop by putting our users at the center, okay? That's the two messages we should emphasize here. Okay, there are too many pictures, but if you can see it carefully, what they say is, this is the picture that the customer explained it, okay? And then what really needed is this one, okay? But this is how engineer designed it, okay? This is how customer was built, okay? This is how the help desk supported it. As you can see here, there are big difference between what the user really needs and what engineer designed, what actually they get, actually paid, okay? Okay, then question is, how can we find what users really need, okay? So there are a number of strategy. Like I said before, first you understand your users, okay? There are two types of users, they say. One is expert users, who knows everything about the product, okay? He knows MP3 players, he knows computers, etc., etc., okay? They always criticize your product, okay? They always give you the negative side, negative points. And they always need more and more and more, okay? They are very good and smart. But problem is, they are only 1 or 2% of customers. They don't buy your product, okay? The people who buy your product is mainstreamers. They are more than 90%. So you should understand what the characteristics of mainstream users, what they want, what they really need, okay? You can ask something to expert, but do not trust them too much, okay? So that's the difference between expert and mainstreamers, okay? Expert wants a precise control, perfect result, exact match, etc., etc. But mainstreamers, or most of users, just want make it easy, reliable, good match is enough, okay? So you have to think about this very carefully. So first thing you have to know is user, and next one is what their requirements are. So there are a number of statements describing requirement, statement defining what the site, website, or application needs to do. It provides insight to overall needs, represent and combines needs provided by different stakeholders, give the directions for designs, etc., etc. Okay? I repeat, in order to get clear and solid requirement, you understand current state, needs and ideas, and merge them into requirement. And you don't need to satisfy all the requirement because you have a limited resources and limited time. So you have to prioritize when you satisfy your requirement, okay? Okay, let me skip. We don't have much time. It's almost 6 o'clock, right? Okay, I know your requirement. Okay, there are a number of techniques. For example, if you buy something from your online market, okay, you want to tracking your order, okay? There are a number of issues you have to think about. In the area of order tracking, orders can be tracked by entering a tracking code online so that user can find the state of your delivery, your product delivery, okay? Or if you have enough money and enough resources, you can put a GPS service into your online market, okay? Or you can have some services that gives your user shows all past orders made in last 365 days, etc., etc., okay? These kind of requirements are possible, but like I said before, you have to think about many issues and put it in the list with priority, okay? Okay, let me skip this one. So generate requirement, listen to user, and also you have to check your business need and prioritize them. Okay, finally, once you know what they need or what they want to do, and then second step is you understand how the users do, okay? So Donald Norman created model of interaction between user and computer. He put it into 7 stages. This model explains user's view of the interface. For example, suppose you want to know more about Brexit, okay? Then that's your goal. You may use Google, or you may watch TV, whatever you want, okay? Then there is a 7 steps. You establish your goal, formulate intention. Maybe I want to Googling this, and specify the action. You actually type it and execute, see the result, and interpret whether the result shows answer. If you are satisfied, then you stop. Otherwise, you repeat this thing again, okay? So once you set up and you want to execute this thing and let system work for you, okay? And then you want to evaluate the result, whether your goal is satisfied or not, okay? You do this kind of evaluation and execution loop, okay? Set up goal, etc., etc., okay? So why is this model is important? Because with this model, we can say which system is harder to use. You can compare usability of 2 or more systems. Okay, he defines 2 issues. One is gulf of execution. It means user's formulation of action is not equal to actions allowed by the system. Second one is user expectation of change in system state is not equal to presentation of this. It means this gulf of execution say user want to run some command, but that command or that action is not allowed by the system. So user feels some problem when execute something, okay? If you make it easy, okay, you allow this kind of actions or command, what user intended to perform, you must allow that, and then your system becomes easier, okay? And second issue is remove this gulf of evaluation. Means make it operate as the users expect to behave your system, okay? Then if you check these 2 things, you can determine or you can evaluate whether your system is harder to use or easier to use, okay? That's what the Norman's model says, why it's useful. So let me conclude my talk. Although this is very hasty, but this is almost 6:10, so it's time to finish. Once again, user experience and user-centered design becomes very important. not only the website or applications or services or product. Many people talking about IoT and wearable computing kind of things. If it comes to this product and services, we don't have monitor, we don't have keyboard, so there should be some natural and easy way to ask or command our device, which is hidden in our environment. So that's why this UX or user-centered design become more important. So I repeat, you have to understand your users, and also you focus your users and stand your users' side when you develop and design your product and system. Okay? Thank you for your attention.